I will get my painting started with acrylic colors. I always show you that I have my palette for that. It's important. I have my water and colors and the set of brushes. And for my face, I will use the medium size of the brush, and I'm gonna put on my palette a lots of white color because I'm gonna make the color of the skin kind of, I think what I have the same color. So and of course when you're gonna make a portrait of the person you are painting, you're gonna try to create the color of the skin that person has. So for me, I will just use the white a lot, and I also will use one of my favorite that a color which is I used last time we were working. It's the white mixed with the yellow and a little bit of brown and orange. That color has kind of a crew color, and you can see it's a little bit kind of more warmer than the white. And when I use them together, it's gonna create that lighter color, a crew color. And I also will add in this color a little bit of pink color, and that's gonna help me to create the color of the skin. This is the color of the skin which is Caucasian person has, so I will use it just for example. You can mix any color you prefer for the face. Depends on the portrait which is you painting and the person in the front of you, as I said. So for me, this is going to be the color because I'm just making the abstract. For the person I'm painting, I will use that color for the face. And of course, because the lights on the face, they comes depends on the direction of the light coming on the face, and that creates some shadows on the face. So when you're gonna work on it, pay attention to that because that's gonna help you write 3D image for your painting. I will use a little bit of brown color for the shady spots on a face, and I will kind of exaggerate that a little bit so that you can see where's the parts of the face has the different siding. So the front, back of your face, and the top of the nose and bottom of the nose. Some of the spots on the face will have different colors because of the lights. And so I get a little bit of brown on my palette with the color I mixed before, and I'm gonna use this a little bit slighter darker color for the side of the face right here. And this will help me to create the features for the face with the changing of color a little bit. And I also will use some orange color for the color for my face. With the brown and orange, you can create that skin color, the Caucasian skin color. And don't forget to highlight the lighter parts as your cheekbones right here. That's usually the lightest part. It's the cheekbones, and that's the spot right here on your upper head when the light usually comes on the front, and the other parts will be where the form a little bit breaking to the sides. There will be more in the shadows. As now I'm adding a little bit of brown color for this sides. And with this darker color, I also add a little bit of orange in that. So just to create the different shade of this skin color, so it helped me to see where I can add some shadows on the face. And some of the shadows are deeper, some of them less dark, as the for instance, parts over here and here, they will be darker. So, but some of the parts, like under the nose and on the sides, they're not going to be that dark. So then we use orange for that part. And I'll just covering now the face, just to kind of get the color of the skin I plan. And then when it's a little bit dry, we will see what we should add and where we have to add some shadows on the face. So right here I will add some shadows usually, and here where's the hairline, we add some darker color too. Get a little bit of more yellow ecru color, which is I had with the white, and highlight a little bit of cheekbones over here, just to add some lights on them. That's the lightest part on our face right here, and also under the lips right here on your chin. And then I kind of leave it for now and work with my nose part, because the nose, it's a very sophisticated feature on a face. It has the interesting shape, which is very individual, and you have to show this with the color. Otherwise, you only what you can see, it's only the nozzles are on the bottom, but it's not what you have. We actually have pretty sophisticated feature on your face as a nose, and that helps to also kind of get the character to your person you are painting. The nose, and if a light comes in the front, so the front will be the lighter, the sides will be a little bit darker. So here, and a little bit under the lips, and by the, that's usually kind of give you some features to this spot, because that's how you smile. And when you smile, you got these lines here, and they have some shadows, and that kind of help you to create the 3D image of the person. And also here by the ears, it's gonna be kind of more darker parts of your face, so then we can highlight this with the darker shade. And under the chin too, we can add a little bit more brown there, because the neck will be farther than the face, and that's why it's kind of will have some shadow. And then closer to the chest, it's gonna be lighter again. So you just kind of paint this with the similar color up to the neck, where the neck connected to the fabric of the dress or short, which is your mom has. So this is for now the face colors I have. I also want to highlight this part of the face, which is usually have some highlights to that part, and the top part of the nose. because that's kind of extended from the face, so, and it's lighter than the other parts. That's help us to create the right lightening on face and give us the right proportion of the features of the face. And the lightest part is gonna be the end of the nose, right over here. That's the lightest part, and here too, and cheekbones, and a little bit on the middle of the chin, and of course that end of the cheeks here, because that's where our cheeks are finished, right over here. And for the neck, I'm just gonna smooth that color a little bit. And I will leave it until it's dry so that I can fix that later if I feel like I need some extra color. Now I'm gonna work on our hairs and let the face dry a little bit. So I will do the brown hairs, I think, like dark brown hairs. So for that I will use black and brown and mix them together. This nice brown color for my person's hair. And usually hairs has some highlights too. It depends what kind of light you have for the portrait, but usually when you do just a contour and all lining of the hairs, you can add some details with the lighter colors because of the lights, the way how the lights lie out on hairs. So that's important. And some of the spots will be just darker. So for that I will use a brown and a little bit of more black just for the shadows, the darker parts, which is usually right on here by your neck, because that hairs belong to the farther part of your person's hairs. They are right behind. And usually the trick to show the hairline is get a little bit darker hairs right by the scalp and highlight them after. And the same thing with the hairline from one side and another to add some a darker color here and then highlight them next to it. So I will do it in a minute when I finish. And usually behind ears it might be darker too. So work on it. So you just let your colors to dry and see if you need like second layer on your hairs lining and highlight maybe them a little bit. So it's all kind of, you can see when you work on a portrait and see the person in the front of you and see the lights around the person hairs and how the lights actually reflect and creating the 3D image of your hairs. Otherwise they will be just like a maybe scarf on face. So the highlights help them to look more natural and look like in real life. So I think that I will stop for now and let this hairs to dry a little bit, and I can come up with some other shades just to highlight them a little bit. So And what I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna work on my background. And the background usually just helps to highlight the features of the person. So I will just use the nice blue color just to show some, you know, maybe blue color of the blue sky, maybe just where the person sitting, so you can see what kind of background behind that person, so that you don't have to come up with the color, you just do what's behind. So I think that color will highlight hairs and will be nice color for the skin color, so I think that that will work. And that's good. Be careful with the connection of the dress line so that it's kind of not overlap. And background will help you to finish your work, because then it's gonna be the finished portrait. If you don't do the background, will not gonna make a good job for you, because the color of the skin not gonna look nice, just compare with the white paper when you just have the background. And for the hairline, it's gonna look much more better and professional, and that's gonna create the unique lightening on your painting too, because we're just gonna uh, get like darker shade of this blue by the hairline, so just create some shadows on this color. So I'm gonna get some darker blue for the background on one side, just to show that's the over there the kind of the shadows are a little bit deeper than another. And be careful with the borders of the skin and the dress line, because it's hard to change the color for the skin if you already come up with the color. So it's hard if you get the blue color on it, so hard to change. That's not gonna be the same color anymore, so be careful. So with this light blue, that's gonna create the nice background for the picture. And as I said, you can see what color behind the person, or you can actually put some fabric, or put the person, locate the person in the front of you with a nice background. Like for instance, you can use as a background the curtains, because curtains, it's a nice fabric usually, and it's create a nice background for the portrait. So it's one of the options. Or the wall, the wall can be the nice background too. Try not to put the person for posing in the front of the window, or some places where it's hard to pick up the color for the background, so it will be like create that color in your painting. So try to get some bold color, which is easy to make, and just for the background, and it's not the main part, because the main task today to create the portrait, so I'm not work too much on the background. So with the color I choose, it's kind of help us to highlight the hair color and the face color, so that kind of blue, medium blue will looks really nice for this picture. I think help us to create some background, lighter color on this side, so that showing that the light comes kind of from that direction, and that side will be a little bit darker. And with the lighter color, sometimes it's okay to get overlap with the color, darker color, because it's easy to exchange. but it doesn't work always other way around. So that's for my background color. I think that will be enough for now. On the color of the dress. And I think the dress might be yellow. Yellow with a little bit of orange. Nice deep yellow color. Just like that. A little bit kind of, yeah, light orange, I think. Yeah, that works. Works with the hairs, works with the face, so I think that will be. And with the background too. So that's the, be careful with the line of the shoulders and the neck. So again, you can, when you have the person in the front of you, your mom, for the portrait, you can ask her to wear something which is you think will looks good on her, and then you can use that color for the portrait. So you ask her to wear some special clothes you like on her, for instance, and that will be the part of your portrait. So this is mine. Use the extra shades of this color to show the lights. For now, I'm just getting the main color for this dress. Of course, it might be highlights. Depends on light on your person which is in the front of you. You can see where's the color will be lighter on her. Usually on the front and kind of by the shoulders. It might have some shadows from hairs or from the background. So for now, I'm just getting the main color. Use some highlights on the side of the dress. And usually by the underarmpits, that might be darker too. But if your portrait doesn't contain that, so you don't have to. It might be just the upper shoulders, and that's it. That's usually enough because that's just a portrait of face of the person and not the whole body. So we're just using the shoulders part for the portrait. So this is for my dress for now, and I also want to work on details right now. Eyes color, and I will get, of course, the smaller brush for that. So I think that this brush will be good, and even smaller one. So now I will use my smaller brush for ears color, and that's gonna be, of course, some eggshell color, ecru color, and white, and a little bit of pink, and some brown. So, and I recreate the same skin color, but I will use a little bit more brown in it because the ears, they're kind of farther on the face, close to the hairline, so they kind of might be a little bit darker than the face. This is mine, yours. And of course, I want to kind of make the smoother connection between hairlines and the face. I will use my orange and skin color to create a little bit darker color for the hairline. And then I will work a little bit on my neck. I get a little bit more brown in my mix. And kind of make the neckline a little bit more cleaner. By dress too, I can add some darker shade with the brown to get some right color for the neck. And since it's a little bit darker, the skin will be because of the shadows. That's what we will do. We'll just add some darker shade here. And same thing on the upper head, by the connection of the upper head and hairline, we can add a little bit darker shade here too. And then I want to work a little bit by the lips with the color over here, so that I didn't clean that spots because I had the bigger brush. So now with the smaller brush, it's easier to work on it. And also on the top of the nose, I will get some lighter shade of my ecru color in white and a little bit of pink again, just to highlight my nose a little bit, the person I'm painting. Cheekbones, that upper head bones right here, and a little bit over here, because here we usually have some light on our right above the lip line. Cheekbones, and a little bit by the end of the cheek right here, and on chin, and on neck a little bit on the sides over here, because it's a little bit of light here too. So just like that, we will stop for now, and with a smaller brush to use it for our irises. And I think that my person will have green irises. So we use the green color for that. I mix that green a little bit with black, because that's usually kind of darker green color for the eyes. And very carefully I will use that color for the irises. Don't color the pupil, because pupil usually has the different color, usually goes to black. So this is gonna be my eyes, and now I need to that's why I'm using that small brush, because it's easy to work on details with the smaller brush, and our features sometimes have very small details. So now I'm gonna make color for the lips, and it's usually like very natural pink, the light pink with white. So I don't put the lipstick on it, so it will be just a light pink color. Some lips has the darker color, some has the lighter color, so I use the kind of light pink, and I add a little bit of red, just a tiny bit, and I mix the nice pink color with my ecru color and pink and white. It's gonna be something like that. Leaf has the darker color. In the corners. In the middle. And we will let the sleeves dry a little bit. And now I can finish my lids, the eyelids, and they will be light too, because they're lighter than the skin color in around the eyes. Still has that skin color, but a little bit lighter than color around it. For the bottom lid will be lighter too, and same color we can use for a little bit the skin around the eyes and by the side of the eyes too. And I think that now we can work on our white part on the eye. And I just usually white with the slide acrylic color too. So we're gonna use this. And we'll let that color dry a little bit and see if we need to add more white on it. And now we need some color for the bottom of the nose. So we're gonna add some brown in our pink and white. And create some darker shade for the bottom of the nose, because usually the shadows are there and the nose will be kind of darker too. It wasn't really right shade of it, so get some darker brown for the nose row and the end of the nose, which is usually kind of in the shadows. Same thing by the ends of the leaves right here. And for the eyebrows, we can use the darker brown color to show the eyebrows. That's help us to finish the last feature on the face and get some personality to the person, because our eyebrows if you finish them and make them the right way as a person have, it's a lots of personality to the person and make the face more dynamic. And then when you finish with the eyebrows, you can see that your face kind of start looking more and more as a real person face. And with the slide brown shade, we can finish the bottom of the nose right here. Main feature on the nose, where's the nostril part. And don't overdo it with the darker shade, because it's very hard to make it lighter. It's gonna kind of get the dirty color after that if you try to overlap that with the lighter color. So now I suggest you to finish hairs. If you didn't finish them before, like I said, we need some highlights on them. So what I'm gonna use, some lighter brown for the highlights with the orange and white. Do some highlights on the hairs. Make them more look real, and same thing on the sides here too. Actually, with the background, it's important too. When you work on your hairline, it's kind of nice to use the lighter color on the sides of the hairs where they connect to the background, because that's gonna add some air in your hair's color and connect this to the environment. When you're gonna have just a sharp, a dark line, that's gonna look a little bit like you did a sketch and you didn't finish, and you didn't actually use enough shades of color to create the right color for the hairs. Because hairs are on the lights, they actually have a little bit different shades, depends on the light, how the lights lie out on them, and then that's actually get some dynamics and make the 3D look on your picture when you follow that. And of course it's darker by the neck, as I said to you before, because that's where there are more shady spot on your picture. It's behind the ears right here, and by the neck right here. So that's the darkest. What I did, I add a little bit of red in my black and get the darker brown spot behind the ears right here, and right here where the hairs start, the line of the hairs in the front, and that's kind of get some 3D look to your hair mask. And hairs are kind of like their living structure, so it's not the wig, because if it's a wig, it will be more stable and look kind of symmetrical. Hairs, they are alive, so they might just some hairs can be on one side, it can be more, on the other side it can be less. So don't be too persistent with the putting them in the right order, because that's gonna make them look like a wig. So that's why some light strokes on them, it's kind of necessary, so to make them look more real. Same thing about their connection to the background and to the person on neck and face lines. So that's important too. As a way that you follow that, you're gonna make the right 3D look of your features on the portrait. If you don't follow that, so and not gonna look realistic, and the person who is posing to you not gonna like that either too. So I think that's enough, and I think that we can use a little bit of this color to highlight the eyebrows, because they should be similar color as the hairs, but not overdo it too much, because they usually lighter than the hairs, because they get more sunshine, and that's just a smaller amount of them on your face compared with the hairs. So, and now I think that we can just finish a little bit with the eyes and kind of highlight the lids, because they also have eyelashes, but eyelashes, like I said, don't overdo eyelashes, because otherwise it's gonna look a little bit more like a cartoon character. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use that brown to highlight the eyelid, and that's gonna kind of contain the eyelashes color too. So the eyelashes will be a similar brown color. So that's why I kind of will highlight the rear part of the eye with the darker brown compared with the middle side of it. And then when it's dry, I will highlight this with the lighter color just to kind of clear the lid line. So, and for now, I think that we can just add some features to the ears, because you know, if you look close to your ear, you can tell that the darker part will be in the middle, so that we can just highlight that part. Don't put too many details on ear because it's so far away. If you put details on it, so they kind of will come too close, but they has to remind to stay on the side, so it's important to follow that. And then I also want to get some character to the lips with that darker shade of pink with brown. So let's just make some highlights for the lips. Not too much, because we are not gonna make them look like they are have some lipsticks, or they're supposed to be the natural color. And then instead of just a dark red, I will use some brown for the shade. And the shades for the lips, usually they are in the corners, and they kind of highlight the top lip a little bit, and the bottom lip usually has a lighter color. And as I said, usually nice to let it dry and see if you need more highlight or it's good enough. It all depends on the color of the lips, which is the person who posing you has, and that's important to follow that. Of course, it's important to know the structure, but it's also all about the real person characters and features, because you somebody posing to you, your mom, and you want your mom has her character and features. That's why it's important to look at your model. That's how we call the person who posing to you, and get the right features for that person. So with the lips, I will stop here, and then I will just fix a little bit on the bottom lids of your eyes, and add some white, because that's the trick you use. If you use some white color just to highlight the areas, your eyes will look very natural. So that's why I will use that white just to highlight that part of the eye right here. You can see what kind of difference it's made when you do that. And then when it's all drying, I will finish with the earrings and a necklace. So I think that the earrings can be kind of darker. It is the orange and red, just like that. Yeah, that would be right color, like kind of coral color. And the necklace will be for the eyes of this person, match with the eyes kind of greenish with the ecru color. So we'll do it kind of opal color for the necklace. Eyes for that person. and it's gonna be on kind of light silver chain. I'm gonna make it with the gray color. And just like that. It's gonna help us to finish the necklace decoration. Sorry to do it, I just think that's kind of will help to kind of, you know, to decorate your dress with that. But if you don't have any necklace on the person or is posing to you, you don't have to do it. I just think that that's kind of nice to put some necklace, and I like necklaces by myself, so it's kind of my thing. So it's up to you if you want to do it or not. So I want to highlight a little bit eyes too, because they are dark green, so I need to get that darkness in them. So, as I said, the acrylic colors, they sometimes get lighter when they dry, so you can always highlight them when they dry, just to add some boldness to it. And also I think that we need to come back to lid color, which was the light pink, that will help us to highlight the eye with the right shade. Get the ecru color in pink and white for that. So, and that will help us to put some 3D look on the lid. Same thing about cheeks a little bit, right here, and here by the nose line. That helps too. It's always the top lids, they should be lighter, so, and that helps to model the eye shape. Under the eye too, a little bit lighter too. And then the darker part will be right above, so then we just use some pink and brown to add some darker shade above of the lid. So that's gonna help us to finish the eye structure. Usually eyes, it's most important for the portrait. You usually have to look at the person who posing to you on the shape of the eye, because that's how you add some character to your person. If you just make the generic eye, it's not going to be the portrait, it's just going to be the practice like I'm doing right now. That's just a generic eye. So for you, when you do the portrait, you should really carefully look of the person's eyes form in the shape, so that helps you to create the right shape of the eye, because they are kind of similar, but still the size of them can be different, and that's gonna add some personality to your portrait. Now I'm just cleaning kind of the hairline color, and also for the nose I add some. So don't leave that white spots. They always kind of mislead you with the color connection, and otherwise if you don't do it right, so that's gonna be look like it's unfinished, and that's what you don't want to do. You want your portrait looks finished and look like a person who is posing to you, right? So that's important. drying, I will use my dress color just to clear the borders of the dress a little bit, and we will see if we need to add something to the face. For now, I think that our dress just needs some a correction on the sides right here. It can be a little bit of brown in this mix. Right over here, I'm mixing that color with the darker orange, just to kind of highlight the shadows on that side of the portrait where the darker side of the background. That helps us to model the 3D look on this picture. And usually the shadow on that side of the shoulder will be present when the light comes from the other side. So this is going to be the right color for it. And from the hairs, it still will be some shadow on both sides. So that will be right to highlight that with a little bit darker shade. And as you see, that's kind of nice way to finish the lining out of the dress, because that's help us to create the 3D look for your work. And by the necklaces will be some white shade too, right here. And now we can see what we need for the our portrait, because it seems like it's all the colors are all dry. I think that we need now the very tiny little brush for the pupils, for the eye, just to finish our portrait. And I have the little tiny brush just like that, a very tiny one. So I will use a little bit of dark brown color, because I do not recommend you to take the black color for that, because it's going to be too dark. So I will use like dark brown, basically the color of your hairs, hairs on my portrait, of course, but a little bit darker, like slightly darker. So, and that really help us to get some look on this person eyes. So it's actually like kind of a finishing moment for the creating the portrait, to use the pupil size for the eyes, because sometimes it's bigger, sometimes it's smaller. I just use the medium kind of size, and also I use it for highlight a little bit hairs right here. So because it's kind of similar colors, so that help me to finish hairline here too. So, and a little bit in darker spots to behind the ear right here, and on the top right here too, and it's kind of highlight the ears too. So like that, this will be good enough. I just want to use the little trick for the pupils, because they have a little bit of white in it too, because that's the reflection of the lights usually. And I will use just a clean white color, and I use the very small brush for that, because the bigger brush you get, the less opportunity for you to make the little dot on the pupil right here, and we just need the little tiny dot on them. And that will kind of make the eye look more natural. I just need to recover my black, because I got my white right on it. So, okay. And let's see if we need anything else for our portrait. Just highlight the upper lip, because that's important we're gonna use the other brush that small but a little bit bigger one for and we just need to highlight this part over here with a little bit slight darker color for the skin, so that will help us to create the appropriate color for the lip. Too dark, so you can always kind of make it a little bit lighter, so that don't overdo that, otherwise it's gonna be like highlight for the lips, and that's gonna be not give the your mouth the right impression. So I think that just like that, we're almost finished. I just see now, notice that the neck kind of get lost a little bit here. We need to highlight that side of the neck. And besides that, I think that for the portrait and for the task we have today, that will be that we did the portrait of mom today, and we learned how to get the right proportions for our portrait. And I think just like that we can finish. Thank you for listening and work with me. If you want to send me the portraits of your moms, please do it and like my channel, and see you later. Thank you so much.